I'm not here to sugarcoat anything. I'm not trying to sound poetic, and I sure as hell ain't looking for pity. I'm just gonna lay it out exactly how it happened. My name's Tyler Brennan. I'm 38 years old, and I've been working in HVAC for the past 17 years. Heating, cooling, ductwork, you name it. It's hard work. Summers in Georgia will roast you alive in an attic. But I've always tried to earn my living the right way. No shortcuts, no handouts. I'm not rich. I don't live fancy. Just steady. I used to live out in Roswell, about half an hour outside of Atlanta. It was a peaceful place, mostly working folks, quiet streets, a good spot to settle down. Our place was nothing flashy, just a decent little home on Pinecrest Lane. Every Saturday, I'd mow the lawn, clean the gutters, and deal with those annoying HOA rules, because I wanted stability. I wanted a good life with my wife, Lauren. We met back in 2013. I was installing a unit at a law office downtown. She worked the front desk, neat, pulled together, totally on top of things. Hair tied back, glasses, buttoned-up blouse. She wasn't the flirty type, wasn't loud or overly cheerful. She had this calm, collected energy about her that felt grounded. I liked that. I needed that. We grabbed coffee one weekend, started talking, and just like that, we clicked. 8 months later, we moved in together. 10 months after that, I asked her to marry me. I've never been the kind of guy who plays games. I like to keep things simple, work hard, be loyal, do right by the people I love. I paid the bills, made dinner now and then, folded laundry when she was wiped out. I didn't complain when she wanted to redecorate with overpriced candles or throw pillows we didn't need. I just said, sure, babe, and kept going. For a good stretch, we were solid. I mean, really happy. Sunday pancakes, movie nights on the couch, little weekend getaways to Savannah or Asheville. She used to text me out of nowhere just to say she missed me. We'd sit out back with a couple drinks, dreaming about the house we'd buy when we had kids, or the places we'd travel once we built up some savings. All the cute couple stuff you see in Hallmark movies. But around year 4, something shifted. Quietly. Like a slow leak in the ceiling, you don't see it until the drywall caves in. It started small. She stopped reaching for me. No more hugs in the kitchen. No more hand on my shoulder when she walked past. The laughter faded too. I'd crack dumb jokes, and she'd barely crack a smile. Eye contact at dinner? Gone. I'd tell her about my day. It wasn't glamorous, but it was mine, and she'd just nod or let out a half-hearted, aha, while scrolling her phone or staring at the TV. But the worst part? The nights. I'd crawl into bed after a long day sore, covered in dust, smelling faintly like metal and insulation, and all I wanted was to wrap my arms around my wife. Nothing more. Just that closeness. And every time, she turned me away. I'm exhausted, Tyler. I've got cramps. Work was awful today. The excuses never stopped. One night she actually said, "Can you not breathe on my neck?" Like I was some creepy stranger, not her husband. That one stung more than I expected. I backed off, told myself she was just stressed. Work had been piling up at the law firm. Her boss kept dumping stuff on her, and she was always behind. I figured it would pass. All couples go through rough patches, right? But weeks turned into 5 months. Every night was the same, lying there in silence, backs turned, no kiss, no touch, not even a good night. Just dead air. I felt like I was lying next to a ghost. Cold. Distant. Like she wasn't really there at all. And the thing is, I never made her feel bad about it. I didn't guilt trip her. I just rolled over and took it. Quietly. Kept swallowing that emptiness like it was normal. But with every night, a little more of me broke down. And it started bleeding into the mornings, too. I'd get up at 6 a.m., start the coffee, kiss her on the forehead, maybe leave her a little note. Most mornings she wouldn't even stir. Sometimes I'd bring her breakfast and she wouldn't say a word. Man, there's something soul-crushing about loving someone who makes you feel invisible. It wasn't even about sex. It was about being wanted. About feeling like you mattered. I felt like furniture. Like a lamp in the corner. Eventually, I started opening up to my buddy Marcus. He's one of the guys on my crew, been through 2 divorces, so he's seen some stuff. We were up in some millionaire's attic in Alpharetta, sweating buckets, and I finally let it spill. Told him Lauren hadn't touched me in 5 months. That I felt like a stranger in my own damn house. He wiped the sweat off his brow, looked me dead in the eye, and said, "You're not in a marriage, man. You're in a hostage situation." That hit harder than I thought it would. Because deep down, I already knew he was right. I just didn't want to admit it. And the worst part? Lauren never once asked what I needed. Never checked in. Never said, "Hey, are you okay?" Never even noticed I was pulling away. She acted like my silence was a personal attack. Like the fact that I wasn't falling all over her anymore was somehow offensive. I remember this one night real clear. It was a Tuesday. I just wrapped up a brutal 14-hour install job over in East Atlanta. My back was killing me, shirt soaked clean through, stomach growling. I walked in the door, and there she was, curled up on the couch with a glass of wine, glued to some garbage Netflix drama. I said, "Hey, babe." She barely looked at me, just glanced down at the floor, and said, "You're tracking mud." That's all I got. Not a single "How was your day?" or "Are you okay?" Just "You're tracking mud." I headed straight for the bathroom, stared at myself in the mirror, and thought, how the hell did I end up here? Look, I'm not claiming I'm perfect. I've got my faults. I get irritable. I get quiet. But I never once made her feel unimportant. I never treated her like background noise. But somewhere along the line, that's exactly what I became in her life, just part of the scenery. That's when I stopped trying. No more flowers. No more planning little date nights. I quit putting in the effort. I started going to bed early, leaving for work before she even woke up. I barely said a word over breakfast. And that's when she finally noticed. Suddenly she's hitting me with stuff like, "You don't even try anymore," or "You've been so cold lately." I didn't argue. I didn't defend myself. I just nodded. I didn't have the energy to fight for someone who'd stopped fighting for me a long time ago. That's when I realized, deep down, this thing wasn't going to fix itself. And if I wanted any kind of peace in my life, I was going to have to make it on my own. And believe me, I did. But that's a story for later. Funny thing is, the second you stop chasing someone who clearly doesn't give a damn, that's when they start to turn their head. That's when they suddenly start noticing you slipping through their fingers. But by the time Lauren realized I wasn't begging anymore, it was already too late. I checked out. Not physically. Not yet. But mentally, I was gone. Packed up, locked the door in my head, and left. I didn't make a scene. No shouting, no slammed doors, no dramatic speeches. I just started doing exactly what she'd been doing for months. Nothing. I'd wake up around 6 a.m., hop in the shower, grab my lunch from the fridge, and head out the door without saying a word. Most mornings I'd stop by Rosie's Diner on Oak Avenue. Small, local joint that always smelled like cinnamon rolls and burnt toast. I'd order a black coffee and a bacon-egg sandwich, sit by the window, and scroll through job listings, rentals, whatever popped up. Not because I was ready to leave that second, but because I knew I would be. Soon. At work, I stayed focused, ran duct lines, climbed up into crawl spaces, did what I always did. But I stopped bringing up home. Stopped talking about Lauren. Marcus caught on quick. We were working one morning, and as he handed me a wrench, he said, "You're awful quiet lately. You finally ghost that ice queen." I didn't even look up. Just said, "Not yet, but she's not on my mind anymore." He gave me this knowing look and said, "That's worse than ghosting, man. That's called healing." And he was right. That was healing. Not the loud, dramatic kind. Mine was slow, quiet, intentional. I started pulling my energy back. Started focusing on myself again. And it showed. Lauren started picking up on it too. At first, it was subtle. "You okay?" At dinner when I barely said a word. I'd just nod. Not angry. Not cold. Just done. Then she started hovering while I cooked, trying to spark some fake small talk about coworkers I'd never met. I'd nod, maybe say a few words, then slip out to the garage. Then came the moment that sealed everything. One afternoon, a job in East Atlanta got canceled, so I came home early, around 3 p.m. The house was quiet, but I heard her voice coming from the bedroom. The door was cracked. Now, I don't make a habit of eavesdropping, but something in her tone stopped me cold in the hallway. It was soft. Fake. The kind of voice she never used with me. I leaned in, real quiet. She said, "He's just boring now. Like, he doesn't even try. I feel like he's not even attracted to me anymore. It's like living with a wall." Then came this fake little laugh. Light, forced, made my jaw tighten. She went on. "Honestly, I think he's depressed or something, but I'm not his therapist. If he doesn't make a move soon, I might." That was it. That was the moment I knew it was over. She wasn't just distant. She was already laying the groundwork for her escape plan, making me out to be the problem. The distant one. The checked-out husband. But I wasn't hurt. Wasn't even shocked. I was just done. That night, I slept on the couch, not to make a statement. I just couldn't bear to lie next to her anymore. And I didn't owe her a damn explanation. She didn't ask anyway. Probably assumed I was sulking. But I wasn't sulking. I was plotting. Next morning, I woke up early, shaved, put on a fresh navy work shirt with my name stitched right across the chest, packed a bag, tossed it in the bed of the truck, and drove straight into downtown. Pulled into Harper and Flint, a law office one of my coworkers told me about. Walked in, shook hands with Evan Harper, a divorce attorney wearing cowboy boots and a southern drawl thick as gravy, and I laid everything out. I didn't sugarcoat a thing. I laid it all out for the lawyer, the cold shoulder, the rejection, that phone call I overheard. He leaned back in his leather chair, looked at me and said, "Son, sounds like you've been living alone for a long time." I just nodded. He said, "Let's get you out clean." From that moment on, it wasn't about emotion anymore, it was chess. I wasn't looking for drama. I just wanted to take my power back. So I played it cool. Real cool. Back at home, I kept it calm. Didn't poke the bear, didn't start fights, didn't raise my voice. Because I know how folks like Lauren operate. The second you get loud, they go louder. Flip the whole damn script. But if you stay calm, they unravel. And she did. About a week later, the shift started. I noticed little things, notes left on the mirror. "Love you. Have a great day." Stuff she hadn't done in years. Then she started putting on makeup just to sit around the house. Like full glam at 6:45 p.m. for no reason. She'd come sit close to me on the couch, trying to inch her way back in. Testing the waters. But I was done. Game over. One night I was watching the Falcons play the Ravens, tight game, real good one, and here she comes, wearing that old silky nightgown she used to wear back when we actually had a sex life. She plopped down beside me, practically glued to my arm, started lightly running her hand down it. I didn't flinch. I just looked over and said, "What are you doing?" She blinked like a deer in headlights. I miss us." I nodded real slow and said, "Nah, you don't miss us. You miss me missing you." She pulled her hand back like I burned her. "What's that supposed to mean?" she asked. I muted the TV, stood up, and looked her square in the eyes. "It means I finally stopped chasing someone who made it clear they didn't want me. You pushed me away every single night for months, like I was a burden. So I stopped showing up in the morning. And now that I'm quiet, you're freaking out. That ain't love, Lauren. That's control." Her face went red. She went silent for a beat, then tried to flip the script. Tears started up, voice cracking. She said she was overwhelmed, going through stuff. Said she didn't mean for it to happen like this. Too little, too late. I told her I'd be staying with a friend for a while. Threw a few clothes into a duffel, grabbed my boots, and walked right past her. She followed me out into the driveway, barefoot, asking if we could talk. But I didn't turn around. I got in my truck, started it up, and pulled away. That night, I crashed on Marcus's couch, beer in hand. Falcons game replay on TV. And for the first time in a long time, I felt peace. And the best part? She had no idea what I was setting up behind the scenes. I was making quiet moves. Changed the passwords on my bank and email. Rerouted my direct deposit to a new account at a different credit union. Took my name off our joint card. Called the utility companies and told them I was moving out, so they'd need to transfer everything into her name. It was like dismantling the life we built, but in reverse. And she didn't even notice. She thought I was just cooling off. Figured I'd be back in a few days, tail between my legs. But here's the truth. I'd spent so long begging for scraps, I forgot what it felt like to stand tall with my dignity. Now, I was getting it back, bit by bit. As for revenge? Oh, it was coming. But not loud. Not messy. Not some dramatic scene or affair or social media meltdown. No, this kind of revenge? It was quiet. It was smart. The kind that stings every morning when she wakes up alone and realizes I'm really gone. But we'll get to that in topic 3. Because that's where the game flips. She didn't see it coming. Not even a little. That's the thing with people like Lauren. They build these little bubbles and assume you'll always be there. Because you always have been. Until the day you're not. So here's how I ended it. It was a Saturday, supposed to be a chill, no work kind of day. By then I'd been staying at Marcus's for about 2 weeks. Giving her space, at least that's what she thought. Truth is, I've been putting all the pieces in place. New bank. New mailing address. I even checked out a rental in Marietta, small studio apartment behind an auto shop, 10 minutes from the office. Nothing fancy. But it was mine. Clean. Quiet. And best of all, no cold shoulder waiting in the bed. That Saturday morning, she texted asking if we could talk. Said she missed me. I told her sure. No yelling. No sarcasm. Just calm. I rolled up to the house around 9:30 a.m., walked in, and found her sitting at the kitchen table. She was dressed up like it was Sunday service, sundress, hair curled, makeup just right. That's when I knew she was nervous. Lauren never dressed up just to sit at that table. She handed me a cup of coffee. We sat there in silence for a few seconds. Then she looked up and said, "I don't understand what happened to you." I looked her in the eyes, steady, no heat in my voice, and said, "You trained me." She blinked. "What's that supposed to mean?" I leaned back, took a slow sip, and laid it out for her. "You trained me to be quiet, to stop reaching out, to stop asking how your day was, because you never asked about mine. You trained me to leave you alone every night, because that's what you made clear you wanted." I paused, then said, "And now that I'm finally giving you what you always acted like you wanted, you're confused?" She sat there stunned, then said the usual, "I didn't mean for things to get this bad." And that's the problem, right there. She didn't mean for me to wake up, didn't mean for the roles to reverse, but they did. She thought I'd stay the same guy, the one who begged, the one who chased, the one who apologized just for taking up space. But I told her straight, I never asked for much. I just wanted to feel like I mattered in my own damn house. And she couldn't give me that. Not even the bare minimum. So I looked her in the eyes and said, "I don't need it from you anymore." Then I handed her the envelope. Inside was the separation agreement. Evan Harper had already drawn it up. My signature was on it. It was done. I didn't ask. I didn't plead. I informed. She stared at it like it was written in a language she couldn't read. "You're really doing this?" she asked. I nodded. "Already did." That's when her face dropped. Her eyes started welling up, voice trembling. "You're giving up on us?" And that line? That one right there? That lit something up in me. I didn't yell, but I let my words cut clear. "Don't you dare try to spin this like I'm walking away from something amazing. You let this fall apart, Lauren. You shut me out of our bed. You treated me like a burden. So don't look shocked that I finally stood up for myself." She reached for my hand. I pulled it back. "I'm not here to argue. I'm here to close the chapter like a man. You can keep the house," I added. "I'm not fighting over it. I'll have the rest of my stuff out by next weekend. My name's off the joint card, and the utilities switch over on the 1st. That's when she knew it wasn't a bluff. Wasn't a tantrum. This was final. I stood up, grabbed my keys, and started heading for the door. She followed close behind, voice cracking, begging for therapy, second chances, talking about how we could reconnect. I stopped right there at the front door and turned back one last time. "You had months, Lauren." I begged. I tried. I showed up, every day. And you treated me like I was invisible. Now you get to sit with that. I paused, looked her dead in the eyes. "The difference between us? I don't need revenge. I just need distance." Then I walked out, shut the door behind me, and I've never stepped foot in that house again.